Following the announcement of Splatoon 3, a new patch was announced for Splatoon 2. This patch has been out for a while now, so in today's video, we're going to be going over what this patch has done for the game, and what the meta is going to look like going into the future. Okay, so the first two changes I want to talk about are the Squeezer and H3 changes. Both these changes impacted the main weapon's ink efficiency. The Squeezer, this was a reduction in ink efficiency for only whenever you're holding the ZR button down, so in other words when you were holding the button down to paint. For the H3, this was just a flat ink efficiency nerf whenever using main weapon. Twitter's been freaking out about these changes, particularly the H3 change. But these changes weren't meant to kill the weapons or anything. It was merely meant to make these weapons more reasonable. H3 for a while has been able to paint the whole map and then go off and kill the whole enemy team for a while now. And on top of that, it could have done that while still having quite a bit of ink left over. Now it can't do that as reliably, and in addition, you can't commit to a bomb in the middle of a fight as well. Squeezer got hit with similar nerfs for the same reason. Before, Squeezer could paint almost as well as most short-range weapons in the game, while also having more range than all of them, and having pretty much the same amount of kill power as all of them. This change was merely meant to make it so that Squeezer was more reasonable, and make it so that short-range weapons have as hard of a time. Short-range weapons are still going to have a pretty hard time in this meta, as we'll see later, but these changes are going to make it so that short-range weapons in general don't have anywhere near as hard of a time as they're having before. Okay, so now that we've gone through those two changes, let's go and look at some of the other changes in the patch. The vast majority of them don't mean anything. For instance, changes like the Kenzo Jr. change and the Kenzo Undercover change aren't really going to do anything. The Kenzo Jr. is kind of nice for all two Kenzo Jr. mains out there. The Kenzo Undercover change isn't going to do anything. The weapon's still going to be terrible in comparison to other weapons that have armor. And then changes like the Dapple change and the Dually change are nice, but they're not going to do anything to the weapon. The weapon's still going to be pretty bad in this meta. The T-Tech change is kind of nice for the T-Tech players out there. It's going to mean that you won't take ink damage as often, which is pretty important when playing against things like CGS and Bamboo. You're still going to take ink damage with that change, particularly when shooting and strafing to the left, but you're not going to take ink damage as often whenever you're just shooting and strafing. The CDS change literally does nothing to nerf the weapon. All it's going to mean is that CDS players can't jump unless they're jumping directly out of a roll, so that they have the accuracy increase from the roll. But other than that, it's not going to do anything to the weapon too important. It's still going to be really, really big in the meta, especially in Japan, and it's still going to be a really, really prominent weapon. The 52 change is actually pretty interesting because 52 now has best-in-class painting because of this change, and in addition, it has not gotten a nerfed BR cost, so that means it spams BRs even better. It has extremely good kill power, and it's honestly one of the biggest threats right now as a short-range weapon, despite how bad short-range weapons are. And now we get on to every Charger player's favorite part of the patch. The E-Litter special points nerf isn't going to do anything to it. All it means is that now E-Litter has to take a full 5th shot as the 5th partial tap to get Storm. It's still going to be getting Storm really, really quickly. As for Firefin, you definitely need to run Special Charge Up on that thing now. If you're not running Special Charge Up on that thing, you are probably throwing. It took forever for that thing to get bomb rush before without Special Charge Up, and now it's going to take even longer without Special Charge Up. So you should probably be running Special Charge Up on that thing. Other than that, charges remain pretty much unchanged in this patch. They're still going to be really good on zones, it's just that they're not going to be able to special spam as much to paint the zone. But that's directly. Charges got a bit of an indirect buff in this patch, in that torpedo users now have to wait an additional 8 frames before they recover ink after throwing a torpedo. This isn't going to do anything to torpedo spammers, as they're still going to be able to spam at the same rate with the correct gear anyways, because you can't throw 2 torpedoes at once. Okay, so we've gone over pretty much all of the changes that actually mean something in this patch. So let's go ahead and get into what the meta is going to look like going into the future. Okay, so we're already seeing one of the biggest consequences of this patch, and that is that 52 is now being used a lot more. 52's paint doesn't mean that only spams BO more and paints the map more. It also means that it can chase kills down more reliably. Before, what would happen is whenever someone gets just outside of your range, you wouldn't be able to paint their feet quite enough to stop them from escaping. Now their fate are going to be more adequately painted, as to stop them from escaping as much. Against weapons like CDS, this means that, you know, the CDS isn't going to be able to run away as well. Like, it's still going to be able to run away from the 52, but it's not going to be able to run away as reliably, especially if it doesn't have ink, because it used all of its ink to throw a ball and it just used wall. So, this change is going to be pretty interesting for the meta. Other than that, nothing's really going to change in this patch. Weapons like H3, obviously they're going to be, you know, more comparable to short-range weapons than they were before, but it's still going to be a really good weapon, especially if you have a player like Obito who has the aim to back that weapon up. It's still going to paint a lot. The only thing that changes is that it doesn't get as many bursts in a full ink tank. That's the only thing that changes with that change. Weapons like Squeezer, same thing. If the person has the aim to back it up, it's still going to be a really good weapon. It's just not going to be able to paint spam as reliably, even though it wasn't something that Squeezer particularly excelled at before. It's just that, you know, now it won't be able to paint and then still have a lot of ink left over. It's going to consume more ink while painting, which is something that I can appreciate. Chargers are still going to be really good in zones, but pretty mediocre everywhere else. Why there wasn't a bamboo nerf to main power up, I don't know. That thing still breaks the game in ways that I don't understand why the devs think is okay. Other than that, there's not very many other changes that are actually going to do anything to the meta. The dually changes aren't going to do anything. They're nice. I know I already talked about these, but please, just on parries. Why? Like, they deserve a 180p jet, maybe 190p, but I don't understand why it has a 200p jet. Like, that just doesn't make any sense considering how bad the weapon is right now. It makes me sad. Like, it went from one of the most popular weapons ever played, just because of how much it can do, to just trash on pretty much every mode. That being said, we are nearing the end of this game's lifespan, so we shouldn't really expect to see many changes that actually make sense. Similarly, we also didn't see any blaster changes or armor nerfs, despite how obviously broken armor is and how obviously bad blaster is. Well, it's not so much blaster is bad as much as armor just counters it for no fucking reason. That being said, once again, we can't really expect too much to change because we're nearing the end of this game's lifespan. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. And I also stream pretty regularly on Twitch. The link is on screen right now. I haven't been streaming for the past few weeks because of school, but I plan to stream sometime this week. Maybe Squid Game, maybe some other game, I don't know. I'd really appreciate it if you could drop on by sometime and leave a follow. I always enjoy seeing new names in chats. But other than that, that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys later.